Today's guest is Juan Lee. He is an author, a love mindset coach, speaker, a United States Air Force veteran, and founder of Clear Journey. And today, he's going to come and talk to us about the love mindset.
Hey, that covers it all. I think
Okay.
that covers it all, and it's woven through everything that I do. That love mindset. So yeah, and let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Okay, so share a bit of your journey and how you got to becoming a love mindset coach.
It really started basically from a perspective that I had heard about love all my life. I'd heard about, and let's put it in context. I've been in religion and a Christian for all my life,
Mhm.
and it was at a point in my life where if things just weren't clear. I just didn't understand what this was all about, and after, oh shucks, 20 years or so of really navigating my Christian faith, um, I was recognizing and realizing that people weren't getting it. People
Yeah.
weren't getting the revelation, so to speak, or the aha moment, or the power that's involved in this thing called love.
Mhm.
And so I went on and basically I started writing a journal, just writing a journal as it relates to how I view the concept of the power that's involved with the understanding of what love really can do, what it does. And I began in 2020,
Mhm.
I wrote my book Love Made Simple. And that was a guide to inner peace, contentment, and success. And it was with that book that I launched the nonprofit. And the nonprofit was to make love practical. It
Mhm.
was to make love practical. It's the practical application of love is what we do at the nonprofit. And what does that mean? How do you use love in your everyday life?
Right.
And what are those areas that in your everyday life that you need to be navigated, need to navigate? And it was the core things that we do at Clear Journey. It's talk about relationships, we talk about finances, we talk about health and wellness, and we talk about self-improvement. It's how we take love and use it to be successful in all of those areas of life. And what
Okay.
I've come to find out is that it's a mindset. We've got to be able to have the love mindset, and that love mindset comes from an attitude that we ascribe to and allow it to guide us and direct us through those areas of our lives. And so it's what I do is I help people understand how to gain those attitudes that allow you to navigate with success so that you might have peace,
Hmm.
contentment, with all your needs met. And that's the key element there, is that we navigate this thing called life in a manner in which that we reach our true potential and become fulfilled. I don't think many of us have ever been taught the power of love, been able to understand what it means. It's been so abstract, used in so many different ways. But to understand its true power is what it is to understand the love mindset.
Okay. So this is the With Love Loniesha podcast, and I did forget to say that at the beginning, right? So my so you can let me know if I'm close to what your definition is. So, my definition of a love mindset would be approaching everything in the way that, with love, the way you would approach yourself. Um, kind of. So, for instance, I crochet. So, when I crochet and I'm making something, the way I would love myself with that is I would make sure I go and get every detail right and go back and make sure all the things are tied together, and that when this person gets it, it's already functional, and it won't rip up, it won't tear apart. So like doing my very best with the project that I'm doing. So that's how I do myself, you know. So every day I wake up and I do my best. So whatever I'm doing, I'm putting the love that I would put into myself into that project. Does that
Another
make sense?
another way of saying it is it's excellence on in action.
Okay.
It's excellence in actions. It's that degree that you're going to do whatever is necessary to reach your fullest potential, you
Mm,
know.
mhm,
That's a good way of putting it. Now, when I talk about it at the holistic approach, is that I'm looking at it as it's basically acting. When I think of love, it's acting on behalf of another. In
mm,
other words, what you basically did through your excellence in implementing is that you're going to put forth that degree of intentionality into a product that is going to be used or to benefit someone else.
mhm. Okay.
See, love basically is all about serving. It's about
Mm,
service.
yes.
And how we implement it. And what you said is that first of all, you've got to love yourself.
Mhm.
And what you're doing is now demonstrating that love that you have for self to someone else.
Okay.
And so it's only because you have it for yourself that you can demonstrate it to someone else. We get it twisted, and many times is that we want somebody to give to us what we don't have ourselves to identify.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. What are some other misconceptions of the line love mindset that you have heard from other people?
Well, I mean, it's just in life itself. It's that we
Mhm.
use it in such a frivolous, and I don't mean frivolous, but it's become sexual. It's
Mm,
become it's become something that is very shallow. It's weak,
mm,
and it's everything other than that. Love is not shallow. It's not weak, and it's more than an emotion.
mm,
It's an action. We need to be able to put it into action. It has to be on has to be on display for it to be truly a benefit to someone else. And
right.
when you understand that, you begin to view life totally different at that point. When you begin to understand the power that comes with demonstrating love to others. It's in all in service.
Self-improvement, that makes sense to me. You know, health and wellness, relationships, but finances. Let's talk about it.
Hmm.
So, when somebody is experiencing financial struggles, how is the absence of a love mindset the reason?
Here's the thing is we've got to understand that it's all about a mindset,
Mhm,
even to the degree as to how we spend our money, how we get our money,
mm,
how we use our money in the sense of what are we putting it towards, because you can determine a person's mindset by looking at their bank statement.
mm,
You look at a person's bank statement, it'll tell you how they spend their money and what they're spending it on. And then is that is it conducive with what they're trying to accomplish? See, the first thing that you have to do with your finances is you have to have a goal.
mhm,
If you don't have a goal, you're just going to be throwing your money away. You're not going to be building, you're not looking for anything. And a love mindset puts you in perspective of understanding that you have a goal. You
mhm,
need a goal, and that's in life. That's in life with everything. You have to have a purpose, and you have to have purpose with anything that you have that you're managing. Because if you don't have a purpose for what you're managing, you'll throw it away. You'll use it for anybody can influence you to remove you of your finances if you don't have a purpose for it.
Mm.
Anybody that come up to you, that's what salesmen do. They manipulate. They be trying to draw you up. If all of your money that you have is either designated or obligated, that means that you've got to either know what you're using everything for every
Mhm.
month, and nobody can come and try to take it away from you because it's already designated or obligated. You've already done that in your mind. So when somebody tries to, or you scrolling on social media and you see something, you go like, I'm gonna get that. Is that in line with your planning for your money?
Mm.
You've got to be intentional. And this
Right.
this is a mindset. This thing called life starts in the mind. And so with your finances, if you don't know what you're doing with your money, somebody else will help you determine what to do with it. So
Okay.
that's what I mean when I talk about a love mindset. It's intentional. You have to budget, know what budgeting is necessary. And if you
Right.
look in these attitudes that we're talking about, in many cases, it requires the attitude of sacrifice. It requires the attitude of sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Discipline. That's a love mindset. That's a love attitude. Discipline. Being responsible. You just don't be willy-nilly with your money. Hey, understand that it is a purpose for your money. If you don't know that, you'll squander it. You'll lose it.
Yeah. So having your why in mind when making decisions helps you to be more intentional about the choices that you're making.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's purpose. That's where we talk about in life in it itself. If we want to be able to make decisions, we have to have a purpose for making those decisions.
Hmm.
And they have to be, and here's the thing, purpose is typically bigger than yourself. We got goals that come underneath purpose. That's like a stepping stone to a purpose.
Hmm.
But purpose has to be something that's greater than ourselves. And so that means that you're always being focused on that purpose while making decisions. And you're considering that purpose when it comes time to making a decision. And when that becomes second nature, that's when the transformation comes so that you might be able to navigate life. And it's not even a question as it relates to what it is and what you need to do because you've been focused and programmed. You've really trained yourself to be able to be consistently focusing on purpose and not letting this fly by the day by the seat of your pants based on how things are happening at the moment. Life is going to be, it's fluid, it's going to be changing. That's why you've got to be consistent as it's changing. You've got to have some type of purpose to how to navigate it. It's sort of like being on the water. You want to get to the end of where you are on the canoe or on the boat, but the
Hmm.
situations from day to day is going, or from moment to moment is going to change. You're not going to be able to do the same thing you did at the last moment because this wave is going to be a little different than the last one.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But if you focus on what the purpose is, you'll do whatever it takes. You won't get fought. I'm like, I'll do what I did yesterday. Yesterday's stuff ain't gonna work today.
You have to be flexible and know when to pivot.
Absolutely. But that means that the focus is not on what you did, it's on what the purpose is for what you're doing, why you're doing it. And
Right.
that's really, I think, a key element in people. They be like, this worked yesterday, this is what I did yesterday. We aren't in yesterday. But you've got to understand that why you're doing it might require a little bit of a different adjustment than yesterday because today's challenges aren't going to be the same as you had yesterday.
Right. So let me ask you this. Let's say for a young person that's maybe thinking about dabbling in dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how you love yourself kind of definitely starts at home and how you were shown love to me, right? So from my perspective, um I think that determines what kind of definition you put on love from your experiences. Now, if you didn't have a great experience growing up and get being shown love, how would you approach dating?
Is absolutely a great question. The first thing that you have to do is that you've got to identify who you are personally. You've got to identify who you are personally. It has to be clear. You've got to find out what your values are. And
Mhm.
then the values are in line with your purpose. And when I say purpose, and let me be clear when I use how I use purpose. When I say purpose is greater than myself, as it relates to dating, you have to understand that what are you looking for? Are you looking for a mate? Are you looking for somebody to hang out with? Are you looking for just because what marriage is an alignment.
Mhm.
And when you're looking to find someone to align with, you've got to know who you are. You've got to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, you're going to be left in a position that is you're not authentically yourself. So
So,
you've
go
got
ahead.
to create that space of understanding who you are, that authentic self.
So, what I'm hearing you say is before you start dating, you should definitely take time to learn yourself. And that's something that happens over the years. And I think that through dating experiences, that's what had helped me learn more about myself and what I actually wanted. And then that's what helped me to become more intentional. So, somebody, before they have to experience all of the things, like learn the hard way, people, they should definitely start do the inner work to know what the purpose is to being in a relationship.
Yeah, yeah. And because see, it's very it you, to be in a relationship, you got to be intentional. If you look, if you just want somebody to hang out with, let's be clear, because that's what you're going into it, just wanting somebody to hang out. But if you're looking for somebody, a partner, you're looking for someone to build something with, that's you've got to be very specific. And where that starts is knowing what it is you bring to the table.
Hmm.
If you don't know what you're bringing to the table, you can't expect them to know what they're bringing to the table because that's what you're trying to align yourself with.
Right.
You don't know what you bringing. You caught up in the emotions, the feelings, and it's more than that. When you're talking about a long-term relationship, something that's going to experience this thing called life together,
Hmm.
you've got to be able to rock and roll with the changes that are going to be happening together, not separately, but together. And so that requires us to know a lot about who we are personally so that we can be able to identify the person that connects with that.
Mm.
If I don't know who I am, I don't know how to find that person to connect to it. And it's not something that I'm looking for them to bring me. I'm looking for someone to bring enhance me, to bring more value to me. You know,
Right.
I already know
Hmm.
where I'm headed. We just got to be headed in the same direction.
Yes, definitely. That is the main thing that I've learned over my experiences because working with somebody who's working to go in the opposite direction is only going to bring you troubles.
It's going to make whatever you're doing harder,
Right.
if at all, if you're able to accomplish it at all, because you can't though the scripture that talks about you can't unequally yoke.
Mm.
The sense there is that if the yoke, wherever the yoke goes, both people gotta go. The
Mm-hmm.
yoke is something you put around your neck. And where the yoke, if one is pushing, pulling this way, and the other one pushing that, that's making it rough for the both of you because it's around both of your neck. Both of you, it's meant to say, okay, if one going this way, we both going this way. If one goes this way, we both going this way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the value. That's the but when you say unequally, that means that one's carrying the other one. I'm
Mm,
pulling you. You ain't just coming. I'm pulling, dragging. And
yeah.
I'm being pulled over here when I'm really supposed to be over here. That's why our authentic selves is to understand, where do I belong? Where do I belong? If I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I need to find out where I belong. And that's in knowing self. And that's where the work is, to be honest with you. Get that, and things begin to get a whole lot clearer. Life becomes a lot more simpler because now we're making choices, um, intentional. We're
Mm-hmm.
very intentional in our choice making. It's not that I got anything against anybody else, but if it doesn't align with who I am, I'm okay. That's fine. It's just not for me.
Right.
And when you know that, it makes everything a lot simpler. This is what we want by saying love made simple, is to understand it's these types of clarifying moments that allows us to go, aha. It's those aha moments that we're looking for that makes life simple.
Right.
Not easy. Let's be clear. Not saying easy,
Mm-hmm.
but simple. Simple is just clarity.
What are some of the most common resistance that you encounter when guiding people to apply the love mindset to non-traditional areas?
When you say non-traditional areas, what are you referring to?
So just like you were saying, like health and wellness, the finances, what's the most resistance that you see if somebody's like, well, how can I apply love to, like, what is the question, the pushback that you get the most from
It, it,
applying
it,
the love mindset?
it's in relationships.
Mm,
It's in relationships because, see, um, when you come, when you, I'm providing something new when I'm talking about love is, um, in your finances, in your wellness, health and wellness. But relationships, a lot of people have their own perception as it relates to what love is. And what I'm confronted with is having them to see something differently, changing their perspective on what it looks like.
mm-hmm,
Um, and that's a real difficult thing because the first thing as it relates to relationship, and this goes on along with self-improvement, but self-improvement, people who are looking to improve themselves are more readily available, not more open.
mm-hmm,
But when you talk about relationships, you're wondering why people aren't giving you what you want. And the
mm-hmm,
major problem with that is that that's not what love is all about, in the sense it's about what you have to give. It's not
mm-hmm,
what somebody can give you. It's once you have to give, it becomes easier. And again, that even falls into finances. The reason why giving is so powerful, in the sense that if you can only give what you have. If you don't have it, you can't give it. But because you have it, that means that you have built something intentionally to have it. In other words, you've been mindful and conscious of your spending. That has afforded you the opportunity to be able to give. If you weren't conscious of your spending, you wouldn't have to give. And so as it relates to, so it's an understanding of how you use these attitudes in your life. But for relationships, oh, their
mm-hmm,
expectations are the first thing that you have to get over.
mm. So if love is an action, how can you take actions to changing your expectations in love?
Well, that's the whole crux of this. Is to
Mm,
implement the attitudes that allow you to see things differently. It's about changing, it's about changing your perspective and your motivation. See, because most of us struggle with selfishness,
mm,
and love doesn't operate in selfishness, it operates in selflessness. But the only way to get there is to be able to do the internal work, because that's a tremendous change from me to being about someone else. And that's a confidence and an insure and an insurance, not an insurance, but an assurance
mm.
that you know who you are on the inside. That's a assurance. And when you're able to walk into situations and circumstances knowing exactly who you are, what it is that you offer, and not ashamed of it, that brings you the confidence that you need to be able to manage any circumstance or situation, because that's who you authentically are. That's how you manage that space. It takes work because everybody's going to engage this information at different stages of life. And so it's going, in my book, I talk about no matter what stage you're in, whether you're a teenager, you're a young adult, you're an adult, or you're a senior, there is love is implemented. It acts differently in each of those stages. But the end result is that it's on the behalf of others. And it's only as a result of us having it to give, and to do it means that you've got to be intentional. And no matter what stage you are, everybody has everybody's different challenges. Everybody has different challenges. I think you and I talked about, the last time we spoke. It's,
Mhm.
who would have thought? But the fact is that this is just our challenge. This is just our experience. But
Right.
love is capable of managing whatever the experience is.
Just like having compassion
It is.
for anything or anybody in the experience.
Again, when I talk about the purpose, purpose is for how I operate under it. All humans have the same purpose in life. We have to identify and separate the differences between purpose and uniquenesses. And many of us are looking for uniquenesses and calling it purpose.
Mm.
Purpose is greater than our uniquenesses, but our uniquenesses connect to purpose.
Yes, yes. Okay.
And so when we can identify and spend the time in developing our uniqueness, because guess what? Our uniqueness separates us from anybody and everybody.
Right.
And that's what we offer to everybody.
Okay. So today I heard you have to know your why in order to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Those intentional actions are it is the love mindset, and
Yes,
applying that to pretty much everything you do.
everything. No matter what it is, it has a place in every situation in your life.
Okay. So if I was somebody who wanted proof that this works, where would I look?
Me,
You?
me, I have,
Okay.
I have. You have to understand. I have a learning disability, and at 17. Now, here's the thing: it wasn't diagnosed until I was 37 years old. Mhm.
Oh.
And so my identity, you can imagine what my identity was, my self-esteem, my confidence. Um, you're talking about all of my developmental processes. Now, here's the thing. I, at the age of 17, graduating from high school, had I felt hopeless.
Mm,
I had hopeless. I didn't know how I was going to survive. I had no idea because all of my identity was telling me that I didn't measure up. I didn't measure up. It didn't matter what the situation was. I didn't measure up and I wasn't, and I didn't, I was trying to compare myself again, not knowing how to identify my originality, my uniqueness.
Mm.
And so it wasn't until I was able to gain that and I learned it. Now, here's the thing, had been in church all my life, had heard love, had known about Jesus, but had no practical application until I joined the military. And then it was in
Wow.
the military where I began to see the applications of love in action and how many people see, and it's not in the mission, it's in the process. Okay, the mission is determined by someone else, but the process is how love works. It's being able to know the end at the beginning. And that's to be able to understand if you follow the system, the order,
Mm.
you'll get the results every time. And in the military, it didn't matter. The military is the same today as it was when I was in there 30 years ago.
Mm.
Why? Because the systems are in place. The systems are in place. They got different tools and different things, but the actual order and how things go, they use different tools now than they did when I
Mm.
was in there. But the fact of the matter is that at the end of it is each and every man, woman that are in there are doing it because of what it's the system that it takes to get it done that makes it work. That makes it work. And it's unless you've been in the military, it's just a duplication of life itself.
Mm.
And I don't mean that to say the mission, because the mission can change with mind. Man changes the mission of it.
Mhm.
But the degree of sacrifice and discipline and respect and care and tenacity, all of the characteristics of love are demonstrated and implemented in the process of the military. You can't do it without it.
Mm.
They're asking you to do something that is beyond the mindset of someone that is just, is not committed to something greater than themselves.
Mm. Yeah, that's good. That's so good. I like that. Okay, so thank you for taking the time to talk to me and my listeners and helping us make our journey a little clearer today. See what I did there?
Hey, and you can find that at
Mhm. Yes.
clearjourney.org. You can come over and visit us and be a
Mhm.
part of our YouTube channel, which is at Clear Journey, where we have two
Mhm.
podcasts. It's called It's Life and the Philosophy of Love. And it's
Mhm.
every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. You can get one of those two programs you'll see there. And we talk about how that the practical part of it in It's Life, and then
Mhm.
really the understanding of the power of love with the philosophy of love. We talk about the psychology behind love. I have a co-host on both of those podcasts. Come be a part, join, hit the subscribe button and hit the like.
Yes, y'all heard it. Hit the subscribe button and hit the like and go check it out and learn more about the love mindset with Juan Lee, author, love mindset coach, speaker, veteran of the United States Air Force, and founder of Clear Journey. All right. Let me go
Yes,
ahead.
thanks for having me.